Hello and welcome back to another Last Word on Spurs opposition view. I'm joined by Leicester fan Jamie from Leicester Fan TV, smiling. I'm not sure he'll be smiling after I ask him how he feels Leicester's season's gone so far. Jamie, first and foremost, before we discuss formalities, how are you firstly?
I'm good, fine, pal. Work's good. Football's not so good. But yeah, I'm loving life at the minute. Apart from football, everything else is great, pal.
This is the hard bit now. This is the horrible bit. We've got to talk about football, so please accept my apologies. But as a Spurs fan, you'll hopefully understand I've been there many a time, and the last thing you want to talk about is your football club right now. Jamie, John, I don't want to say about Leicester. It's been a really, really crazy, chaotic season. Just generally on, off the pitch, VAR decisions, players come in and going. It's just been crazy. Just sum up the last, I would say, 12 months being a Leicester fan, if you possibly can put that into words.
12 months? Right, I'm off. No, not really. It's been a very roller coaster ride for most Leicester fans here. We'll actually go back a little bit further to the FA Cup win. Absolutely fantastic. First time we'd ever won it in the history. Then we won the Community Shield at the start of last season and thought, yeah, things are going up. Beat Chelsea, beat Man City. Thought, yeah, things are going up. And it just didn't go right. West Ham got injured in the last pre-season game against Villarreal last year. He was out for 6-7 months. We had injuries, a lot of injuries. And I don't know, the tactic, the way we're playing this tippy-tappy football, there's not many fans like it. And the way we're playing it now, it's not as good. And we haven't got a plan B to go to. It's the same no matter what. So it's getting hard work watching Leicester play at the minute. I love my football, but I must admit it's getting hard work watching Leicester. The injuries have improved. We've lost Fofana, but we haven't been able to sign anybody because of this. We're like under this financial fair play situation. I don't know how it works, but we're under this financial fair play. And we've got to get rid before we buy anybody, which hasn't helped us out whatsoever at all, Ricky.
It feels like with every game, there's an increasing amount of pressure on Brendan Rodgers, a guy that at one point was being lauded as one of the best managers in the Premier League, moving mountains with Leicester, winning, of course, the FA Cup, taking them to the brink of Champions League football. I think I can say twice, Jamie, and then failing to deliver that. Ultimately,
once against you guys.
Yeah, I mean, of course, as we can't forget going down to the final day against Spurs, where, correct me if I'm wrong, I think a win would have got you Champions League football on the day. Give us your thoughts going into the weekend's game then. Just how much pressure is on Brendan to get a result, given the amount of pressure that is increasingly under now?
To be honest, pal, I don't know how the pressure hasn't got to him. I wouldn't be able to stand the pressure, that's for certain. We've gone 5 games without a win. We've got 1 point from the first 6 games, so 1 point out of 18. It's not the best start ever. It's Leicester's worst start ever in Premiership history. The second worst start ever since 1983, when we had Gary Lineker and Alan Smith up front, which is very surprising. It's just not gone right for us, and you can just see it. It's going that way, and confidence is low, and we seriously need to get 3 points on Saturday. But I just can't see it, Ricky. I'm struggling to even think where the goals are coming from, let alone where the next point's coming from, pal. I really do.
It's hard on the back of an answer like that to ask you, really, in terms of the weekend, what kind of Leicester you're expecting to turn up. I mean, you've given, like I say, some stats there in terms of the form that they're showing at the moment. Do you take any solace from the last few performances? Are they even playing for the manager, in your opinion, Jamie?
Well, that's a big talking point. Everyone knows me in Leicester, knows that I'm on Rodgers' outside of the fence, to be honest. I have been for a while. But we show signs. We have 10, 15 minutes where I'm thinking, yeah, that really looks good. Against Chelsea in the first half, we could have scored 4 or 5 goals. And it looked good, but then the second half, I don't know, it just went to pot. It's hard. The only thing, he did make a change against Brighton. He played 2 up top, Dakar and Nacho. Not Vardy. He dropped Vardy, which was quite surprising. But he played Dakar and Nacho up front, which I've been calling for 2 up top. That was the most promising thing we've done. We've gone up to 2 up top to make a more attacking formation up top, which I think 2 strikers is far better than having the one. You've got 2 different kind of strikers. So the only positive I've got, he's changed the system to a 2 up top. But it's not so much there. It's the concentration at the back. We've got Johnny Evans. Johnny Evans is, I won't say world-class defender, But Alex Ferguson said we should have never sold him. We should have kept him at Man U, and there was even a rumour of him going back to Man U. The defence is just, it's a nightmare, the defence. I don't know. I really don't know what's happened. You think you've sorted it, and then all of a sudden you can't get no transfers in to improve it. Fofana goes. We bought this Walt Fez. No one's ever seen him. They've only just heard of him. He should play. He should start with Johnny Evans on Saturday. Saturday. But yeah, that's the only positive. He's made a change of going 2 up top and dropping Jamie Vardy, which was a surprise, to be honest.
There's been a real mention, Jamie, from the outside, about a real lack of leaders now in that dressing room. Of course, losing Kasper Schmeichel, probably a big one in the summer. He went for a nominal fee, but just the presence of Kasper in and around that dressing room, of course, a winner with you guys in terms of the Premier League, the FA Cup. I mean, do you feel that way as a fan now there's a real lack of leaders? I mean, I remember at Spurs that we had a real overhaul of the squad. We were talking about this painful rebuild that needed to happen. To some degree, obviously, the managers got back to make that rebuild. Whether it was the right signings or the wrong signings is another question. It seemed like in the summer, Rodgers was pleading to have those funds there to be able to rebuild the squad, because as we've seen, to keep a squad competitive, you have to make signings, you have to change the squad, the ethos, to keep players fresh, to keep them ready, to keep them motivated. Is that just the case that it hasn't happened, which is why you've had this disastrous start to the season?
It's like when you get a new manager, there's that new manager bounce, isn't there? You win the first 2 or 3 games, you start getting confidence and you build from that. It's like when you get new players. You get 2 or 3 new players and it sort of bigs up the rest of the team. Oh, we bought a couple of new players, and it helps them build up the spirits. And I think because we haven't got no signings, there's been no, like you say, leadership. My big point about the minute from Leicester, when they're on that pitch, there's no leadership, there's no fight, there's no passion, there's no spirit. And you need that. You need the team. When we won the league, we had a band of brothers: Drinkwater, Mahrez, Vardy, Kante, Schmeichel, Fuchs, Morgan. There was like a band of brothers. You knew they were together. Now at the minute, I don't think it is. I think there's the old guard and the new up and coming. I think there's 2 different sections in that changing rooms, and I think that's what's hurting us at the minute. And Brendan Rodgers can't seem to control both sides of the changing rooms.
We used to jokingly say, Jamie, that whenever you're in need of a result, don't worry, Dr. Tottenham are coming next. To be fair, under Conte to some degree, Spurs have shown their resilience in the Premier League. They've ground out results so far in terms of that competition. In terms of this weekend, I can tell by your demeanour and your mood, the negativity is there for everyone to see. Give us your thoughts on Spurs at the weekend, coming up against Spurs. What have you made of Conte's Tottenham? What's your thoughts going into the game on Saturday evening?
It hates me to say it, but my mate's going to hate me this because one of my best mates is a Spurs fan. And I hate to say this, but Spurs are looking good this year. I really think Spurs will do well. And that, I feel like washing my mouth out with soap and water for me to say that.
For some reason, as Leicester fans do have a real dislike for Tottenham. I don't understand.
I don't know where that's come from. Well, I do actually. It's from when we won the league, I think. But it's, I don't know. I do think he's got them. He's grabbed them where it hurts, and he's told them to perform. And he's gone in the changing rooms. I don't know whether a teacup thrower or he goes in yelling and fighting, or not scrapping with him, yelling and shouting, sorry. And he gets them going, which is what we need in our changing rooms, for someone to go in there, get them going, G them up. And I think that's what Conte's got. I know Son hasn't scored, but you've got Kane, you've got the
Richarlison.
Yeah, Richarlison. He always scores against Leicester. When he was at Everton, he used to score. Well, Harry Kane scores against Leicester. Son scores against Leicester. Richarlison scores against Leicester. You can see why I'm not looking forward to it on Saturday. But yeah, I think you've made some shrewd signings. You've got some of the deadwood's gone as well. Well, I don't know whether you call it deadwood in Spurs, but in Leicester we call our also runs deadwood. So you've got rid of some of them. And yeah, I do believe. I'm not quite sure you're up there in winning the league, but I think you'll be definitely top 4 Champions League hopefuls again. I know you're in there. You've got the game this week in the Champions League, but I think you'll do it again next year. And I think this is the start of Spurs not coming back to their full glory, but being at the height, nearly at the heights where they used to be.
Okay, well, finally, Jamie, I'll ask you the most painful question I'll probably have all day. Probably going to ask you for a prediction ahead of Saturday's game at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. It is obviously now confirmed as on, probably for your disappointment. What
Yeah,
you
might
going
have an easier break, but then would have had 2 more weeks of Brendan Rodgers being in charge.
Well, I mean, I'd say I think the chance of the game had been postponed. You've been looking at probably March, April, where you might have a new manager in charge. Who knows?
We never know. We never know. But as long as there's no silly VAR happenings, that's don't talk about VAR. Let's go over that. As for the results on Saturday, I always say in the Premier League, if you cannot win, do not lose. So that's why I always go for the old Desmond, the old 2-2 away from that. And I'll stick with that. Every single away game, I've never got it right once yet, but I will stick with that and go with a 2-2. Hopefully my heart says 2-2, but I don't know, Ricky. I really don't know, Ricky. But yeah, I'm going to stick with a 2-2 and I'll be on my hands and knees praying, fingers crossed, everything crossed, that we start the comeback. I want Rodgers to prove me wrong. I want Brendan Rodgers to prove me wrong, that he's worth that money. So get a 2-2 at White. Sorry, what's White Hart
Lane? It's still known as White Hart Lane.
It's still White Hart Lane. Get a point there and start from there and build from there. That's what we need to do. Go into the international break with a decent performance and a point. So I'm going to go for the old Desmond, the old 2-2 wicket.
Okay, Jamie, listen, no offence. I hope you carry on being wrong with your predictions for today and the rest of the season. Jamie, we will wish you the best apart from these 2 fixtures against Spurs. And should we have the unfortunate for your events of drawing you in the cup, thank you so much for your time on Last One on Spurs. Really appreciate it.
Cheers, pal. Thank you, Ricky.
Thank you so much. Cheers.